Director of PAHO says sustained boom in cases is sobering proof that our region and our world is failing to control this coronavirus. Prime Minister answers questions that was posed by the MPs about the teachers and the education law. And Minister of TEAT gives update on her portfolios. Those are the headlines for Thursday, January 28, 2021. Good evening, viewers. This is SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie Bumpton. I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a full newscast for you, so let's get started. In our first story, Minister of TEAT, the Honorable Ludmila de Wever, gave an update on several of TEAT's portfolios at Wednesday's Council of Ministers press briefing. In the minister's opening remarks, she expounded on license plates, the Department of Economic Licenses, and the Chamber of Commerce Info webinar collaboration. The minister also touched on the active cases as well as the inspections, which she said will be continuing.
Here are a few updates for TEAT for the last 2 weeks since I've been absent. Annual confirmation letter process. The Inspectorate of TEAT would like to inform the holders of passenger transport permits that the requirement to have a confirmation letter in order to collect a license plate will no longer be necessary. Permit holders can proceed directly to the receiver's office at the government administration building to pay for and collect their license plates. All other requirements stipulated by the receivers remain applicable. The Department of Economic Licenses and the Chamber of Commerce and Industry Info webinar collaboration. As part of the Chamber's annual Business Awareness Workshop campaign, workshops this year will be hosted in the form of a webinar every month. The idea is to have business professionals hold a virtual presentation on a business subject matter of their expertise, of their area of expertise. During the month of February, the Chamber will be partnering with various institutions to provide free webinar presentations to the community. These institutions include the notaries, Tax Administration, Department of Economic Licenses, and the Bankers Association, as well as SZV. The Chamber will be hosting an information webinar with the Department of Economic Licenses on February 9, 2021, from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Representing the Department of Economic Licenses will be Justine Webster, Jacqueline Peterson, and Julia Solonier. Just as Minister Panaflak reminded us, I would like to reiterate that it is evident that our COVID-19 active cases remain steadily above 100. That is partially due to the increased testing, due to local transmission, and to the fact that this virus is still very much present on the island. As governments across the world continue to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, and particularly increased restrictions due to the new variants, as mentioned by Minister Panaflak, I remind our residents, visitors, and our business community to ensure that the COVID-19 protocols are followed so that our island continues to remain as safe as possible. Inspections to continue. The Inspections Department of TEAT will continue to carry out controls to ensure businesses follow the health protocols, they close on time, and are in compliance with their conditions of licenses. Failure in following the COVID-19 protocols will result in fines and ultimately closure of the business. These are measures that must be taken in order to ensure that we all remain safe. As an additional point, on Monday, Minister Panaflak had a press release of the testing that is available for persons that have to travel to the US. And I would like to remind the public and the visitors that this information is available on stmartinupdates.com website of the St. Martin Tourist Bureau. As of yesterday, this was implemented by the CDC, where all persons returning to the US have to either do an antigen test or a PCR test within the 72 hours of travel. And hotels have partnered with labs. There's a new clinic set up that is in Pelican and Simpson Bay Resorts, near Simpson Bay Resorts. And all of this information is readily available on the Tourism Bureau's updates website.
Meanwhile, fielding a question from a reporter about the District 721 lounge, the minister said, in setting the record straight, that she reached out to the owners to try to resolve the situation, but the overtures have been met with resistance, intimidation, and led to threats to her personal safety. She expounded further.
As it pertains to a recording, I'm not going to respond to that because you don't have the full context of any situation. What I can say is that I personally reached out to the owners to try to resolve the situation. I asked them to be reasonable about their music levels and also offered to help assist them to resolve the discrepancies in their permits. Obviously, we want to promote economic activity. However, these overtures were met with resistance, intimidation, and led to threats to my personal safety. It is unfortunate it has come to this, but we will continue to ensure that the proper procedure is done so that any business can operate within the laws. Any business in full compliance would never be hindered from opening. What I would also like to remind the public is that in St. Martin, we have been struggling with a noise pollution issue for a very long time. And within all operating licenses of businesses, there is a restriction on noise levels. This has been heavily controlled since the last quarter of last year because of the amount of complaints that have been coming in over the years, but not really properly handled. Our purpose here as government is to basically not disenfranchise our residents and our visitors and make it an uncomfortable situation for anyone, whether it is in Almond Grove or Kupakoy or PAHO or Pondville or Illage Road, where all the complaints come in from. So that is what our job here is to cater to our citizens while giving everyone the opportunity to be a cooperative business or neighbor.
And as we continue now in other news, in news out of French St. Martin, President of the Collectivité, Mr. Daniel Gibbs, took part in a meeting organized with the Penitentiary Integration and Probation Department, the SPIP, at the Red Cross headquarters on Thursday, January 21st, regarding the opening of a video conference room for those prisoners from St. Martin to connect with their families. This experimental scheme involving the SPIP, the Bastille Prison, Red Cross, and the Collectivité aims to mitigate the harmful effects of remoteness by maintaining family ties between detainees incarcerated in Guadeloupe with their relatives residing in St. Martin. The detainees' families can now benefit from the visiting room and use of video phone calls. The visiting room is installed in the Red Cross Center in Concordia. The Collectivité, through the Public Service Houses, MSAP, in Sandy Ground and French Quarter, facilitates this process for detainees and their families. President Gibbs and Vice President Sophia Carty welcomed the joint initiative that helps to maintain the link between families and prisoners serving their sentences in Bastille. And as we continue now with other news, Prime Minister of St. Martin, the Honorable Sylvia Jacobs, announced at Wednesday's Council of Ministers press briefing that she has met with her French counterparts recently to discuss several pending matters and to share updates concerning the health situation on both sides of the island, as well as the measures that they will be implementing.
Together with a delegation of ministries of TIAT and VSA, together with the Department of Foreign Affairs, I met with the Préfet Délégué Serge Goutheron, I hope I'm saying that correctly, along with his delegation to discuss several pending matters and share updates concerning the health situation on both sides, the measures that we are both implementing, including traveling measures, as well as updates on business closing hours, and the discouraging of events attracting large gathering and events. The Préfet was quite pleased to learn of our decision taken just yesterday morning regarding the not allowing for the large gatherings to take place for the meanwhile. As you know, the discussions between French and Dutch St. Martin have been ongoing, and collaboration on the health level has been quite optimal, doing our best to synchronize measures. And I must say, with the discussions, this being my second with the current prefet, I do see a great effort to be able to meet halfway and compromise. So I thank the prefet for that meeting, and I'm sure that our future meetings will continue to allow us to align our protocols and measures in the interest of all the people of St. Martin. As he said yesterday, man a man, meaning hand in hand, we will be able to do so. So I look forward to that collaboration and to being able to update the people of St. Martin on some of the decisions that came out of that meeting once all the signing, etc., has taken place.
And still to come, Minister of Health says the campaign about the vaccine distribution has started. I'll have the details of that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Hi, I'm Switch.
And I'm Save.
And together we're here
to tell you about WIB, Switch, and Save Mortgage Offer.
Now at WIB, you can save and benefit from great specials when you decide
to bring your mortgage to WIB.
When you switch, WIB will offer you
payment of penalty fees up to 3 months interest,
payment of notary fees,
waive of bank closing fees,
and also the lowest interest rate.
Plus, you'll have the chance to win back 1 year of interest payment.
Visit any of WIB's mortgage specialists and benefit from WIB's Switch and
Hey, that's my part. And Save Mortgage Offer.
WIB, your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie Van Putten. As we continue now with other news, at the Council of Ministers' weekly press briefing on Wednesday last, Minister of Health, the Honorable Richard Panafleck, was asked about the vaccination and the detailed plan of how things will progress with the COVID-19 vaccination and when will the education and communication campaign start.
I feel and I hear the urge from the community that they would like details. It is forthcoming. We started with a campaign. Maybe the information that the community is seeking for is still to be addressed. I have a very particular way of working. I will tell you the information as it is, when it is, and when it's secure. I do not give you information and then I have to double back on it. We had a meeting yesterday, what we call the 4 countries of the kingdom. And in that meeting, we agree upon the kingdom partners that we will come collectively Monday in our communities and explain as much as possible in detail how and when, how much, and all those kind of information that the people are so eager to know about this vaccination plan. What was released the day before yesterday is for the people to start understanding that we are constantly busy. We have deadlines to meet. Today is the deadline, and we are working diligently with all the actors, not only CPS and public health department of government, but we are working also with Red Cross, like I said. We are working with White and Yellow Cross. We are working with the St. Martin Medical Center. We are working with the general practitioners. We are working with everybody, and we will be working with more people because this is a total, big, huge logistic operation that have to be taken care of. One of the things that the people wants to know, but following the news, already basically as being said, is which are the people that are first going to be dealt with or will be receiving the vaccination. Even for that, there is a campaign going on for the longest while for people to register so that logistically we can prepare. The fact that It's all over within the kingdom. It was in the second chamber, and it was repeated on the communities in Samad and everybody, that basically the first phase will be the professional healthcare workers and the 60-plussers. And I would like to make use of this opportunity also for all in the community to make use of it, either as by a general practitioner online, or there will be even for those that don't have the facility to on internet documents yes, a document that you can fill in so that we can register. I guess by now everybody understands. When we talk about residents, we are talking about all the residents, everybody living on St. Martin.
The Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, held a press conference on Wednesday last. Dr. Carissa Etienne, director of PAHO, says that she is very concerned as she is seeing an increase in COVID cases. The director said this sustained boom in cases is sobering proof that our region and our world is failing to control this coronavirus. They are therefore looking forward to continuous participation as they feel the information being provided can help our people in their decision-making.
In the Americas, over 44 million people have been infected with COVID-19, including more than 2 million over the last week. In North America, the United States is continuing to report the highest number of cases in our region. Mexico is reporting a rise in infections, with some regions of that country seeing tripling of cases over the last few weeks. There is also growing pressure on hospital capacity throughout North America. In some states of the US, nearly 80% of ICU beds are being used to treat COVID-19 patients, with similar rates in many Mexican states, just as some areas of Canada are reaching hospital capacity. In the Caribbean, larger islands like Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, Haiti and Cuba are seeing an increase in infections. Smaller islands like St. Vincent and the Grenadines and St. Lucia are seeing a rapid acceleration of cases, with infections growing by more than 25% over the last week. By contrast, most countries in Central America, except for Honduras and Guatemala, are seeing a decrease in COVID-19 infections over the previous week. Going further south, Colombia has had the highest increase in cases of COVID-19 in South America. Cases are also growing in Paraguay and Chile, even as they are decelerating in Argentina and Uruguay. While hospitalizations are on the rise throughout much of the region, including in Colombia, Chile, and Peru, the situation in Brazil is particularly worrisome. Nearly 3/4 of all ICU beds in many Brazilian states, from the northern regions of the Amazon to the southern border of Uruguay, are being used to treat COVID patients. And many patients in the city of Manaus await hospital and ICU beds as rising cases challenge the health system. Over the course of the last year, we've seen this pandemic change from a localized outbreak to a historic global pandemic. It started nearly a year ago on January 30th, when WHO declared COVID-19 a public health emergency of international concern, an announcement that would set off the alarm for this virus in every corner of the world.
And SXM Daily News will have more of the director of PAHO in tomorrow's broadcast. And now in more COVID-related news, this local COVID update. As of January the 27th, there were 40 persons who tested positive for COVID-19. However, 14 persons have recovered, bringing the total active cases to 155. The total number of confirmed cases is now 1,807. The Collective Prevention Services, CPS, are monitoring 154 people in home isolation. One patient is hospitalized at the St. Martin Medical Center. The total number of deaths due to COVID-19 remains at 27. The number of people recovered since the first case surfaced on St. Martin has increased to 1,625. 262 people are in quarantine based on contact tracing investigations carried out by CPS. The Ministry of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, VSA, the Airport Health Team, in collaboration with the Healthcare Laboratory St. Martin, HCLS, have tested 2,306 travelers arriving at the Princess Juliana International Airport, while CPS has tested 13,533 people throughout the community. As the numbers continue to fluctuate, CPS will continue to actively execute its contact tracing measures. As the numbers continue to fluctuate, it is imperative that everyone continue to wear a mask, maintain a social distance of 2 meters, practice good hand hygiene, and be cautious when in public places. Now turning to our weather forecast for January 28th, 2021. The Atlantic high pressure ridge is supporting a dry and stable atmosphere over the northern portion of the region. Consequently, precipitation will be restricted across the local area. Seas will continue to improve during this forecast period. Nevertheless, small craft operators and sea bathers should continue to exercise caution. So the outlook through Saturday midday, partly cloudy to cloudy at times with isolated showers. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, Prime Minister answers questions that was posed to her by the MPs about the teachers and the education law. I'll have the details to that story when SXM Daily News returns.
The innovative Banco Matico contactless smart card. Your Banco Matico smart card is now equipped with a contactless feature for payments, so get ready to tap and go. Contactless payments are fast, easy, secure, and accepted worldwide at all Maestro-enabled contactless terminals. Tap for transactions equivalent to or less than 100 NAF, or the US dollar equivalent. You will receive notifications via email anytime you tap. Tap, tap, and pay fast with WIB. For more information, visit our website at wib-bank.net. Tap and go with your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, at the continuation of the Central Committee meeting of Parliament regarding several draft national ordinances, which was adjourned on Tuesday last, January the 26th, 2021, and which was attended by the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance. In this evening's broadcast, you will hear the Prime Minister's answering questions that was posed by the MPs about the teachers and the education law.
One is in which law are the teachers taken up? As in one law, we talk about undervised personnel as stated in the education law. And in the other law, we talk about a group of entities that are provided with a subsidy of more than 50% of their budget, which also covers all teachers by all school boards that are subsidized. Are we talking about the same persons in two different laws? And if not, can this be clearly shown that they're different? In answer to the MP's question, the teachers and school personnel of public and private schools are considered education personnel in accordance with Article 1, Sub 3 of the Bezoldigingslandsbesluit Onderwijs, the National Decree Remuneration of Education, and as such are considered to be overheidsdienaren in accordance with de tijdelijke landsverordening COVID-19 bezuinigingen arbeidsvoorwaarden overheidsdienaren, the law that will be handled at agenda point 3. though this particular law is regulating the reductions as it relates, the one that we're dealing with now, as it relates to the top income earners, school boards and management of educational institutions, as well as other employees of the semi-public entities who do not fall under de tijdelijke landsverordening COVID-19, bezuiniging arbeidsvoorwaarden en overheidsdienaren, which will be discussed under point 3. So it relates to the top income earners, as well as all other entities that do not fall within the COVID-19 that is related, the COVID-19 cost-cutting measures that are related to civil servants. The question is, which union representatives were spoken and negotiated with during the coming to an agreement of the personnel involved? The Committee for Civil Servants Union were consulted during the consultative meetings held back in May of last year. Through the CCSU, which is also known as the HEOA in Dutch, though they did not render an advice on these amendments and the temporary laws as proposed, respectfully, MP, I'd like to go into this when we are presenting the national ordinance regarding the cost-cutting measures on the COVID-19 bezuinigingen voor overheidsdienaren. The next question was, are the CLAs presently in effect being respected, or did we use the overriding authority to continue such? This is a specific question. However, I would have to have more information in order to answer this question effectively. All government-owned companies and entities were updated by the Council of Ministers as it relates to these proposed cuts. The further execution of the directive is to be carried out to the letter of the law. In principle, this is a matter between the employer and the employees. In case of any labor disputes, parties can always object or appeal. In answering the question why most companies, stated as most companies do not truly pay dividends to the government, and the question is why make people cut salaries if it means nothing to the government coffers qua dividends? Yet government must lose tax income from the wages in particular. Answer: the lowering of salaries will lead to payroll premiums, a lower payroll premium, as well as taxes. This will directly impact government revenue and that of SZV. On the other hand, lower expenses during this unpredictable economic period should be considered prudent at this time, and in the medium to long term, reduce government risk of having to step in to assist financially. Also, in a case where a government-owned company may not be experiencing any losses at the moment, if in the long run there is dividend to be collected, then that is then the option for the shareholder.
And with that, viewers, brings us to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News. I am Valerie Van Putten, thanking you so much for joining me this evening. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you so much for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.